Hi, Ken with Orion Telescopes and Binoculars, and in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about how to take a picture through the telescope with your smartphone. So a while back we were hosting a star party, sort of a star party, it was a solar viewing party out in our parking lot here when Venus was transiting the sun. And we had a nice big line of people behind the telescope wanting to look, and it seemed like more people would have rather have taken a picture with their phone because they were all sitting in line trying to take their phone and hold it up to the eyepiece and get a shot of the sun rather than look through it. So it's all the rage now, everybody wants to take pictures. But how do you do it? You can hold it over there, and you got to be exactly right, and you can't drink too much caffeine because everything's kind of shaking around, and you just got to get the alignment right. And that's totally possible. You can take an amazing shot of the moon or the sun with a filter that way. But there are some better options if you want to get a steadier image, a sharper image, and then get it exactly all set up and working right so you can adjust the exposure and whatever else. So let me show you some of the ways that we've got to attach your smartphone directly to the telescope. So our least expensive option, and the simplest probably, is the SteadyPix Universal Smartphone Adapter. It's a little clamp system that holds your smartphone here, and then the clamp goes around any standard plausible design eyepiece. It's not really big enough to fit the really wide angle, long eye relief, really fat eyepieces, but any standard eyepiece that comes with your telescope should work just fine with this. So the way you use it, you take your smartphone and you slide it into the bracket and you squeeze it down, and then you adjust the holder until it's looking right over the lens. I'm gonna guess it's right about there somewhere. So that's close enough to start with. Lock it down. Then you take your eyepiece and it goes into the bracket here. And try to get it as close to the lens as possible and then tighten it down. Like that. Now you're ready to fine-tune the positioning so you can get the lens looking exactly down the center of the eyepiece. To line the lens up with the eyepiece, what I usually do is just start like this with the eyepiece outside of the telescope, pointing it at something bright out there. So if you look on the side, I can see a nice circle here. So I pretty much got it lined up. If I was to move it off like that, obviously it's not well aligned. So move it back over here, I can get a nice full circle. And I know the camera lens is looking right down the eyepiece barrel. Once that's done, make sure everything's nice and snug. Drop it into the telescope and tighten down the screws. And now you're ready to take a picture. The slightly more advanced option for a camera mount is the SteadyPix Pro smartphone and camera adapter. This one features a large ledge so you can use it for a point-and-shoot camera as well as this little adapter bracket that attaches onto the ledge for your smartphone. So with this one, your smartphone slides in and tightens down. And then same thing, you do the adjustments to get the lens of the camera looking right down the barrel of the eyepiece here. But instead of the other version, which is just pushing it around and making sure it's lined up, this has some fine controls. There's an X and Y slow motion control here. So you can fine tune the position, get it exactly right, a little bit easier to perfectly get it lined up. So once your smartphone is in either bracket and it's attached to the eyepiece, you want to align it, do the fine tuning and get it exactly right, because just doing it by eye with the eyepiece out of the telescope gets you close, but not perfect. So I'm going to adjust this until I see a nice bright full circle and I don't have any shadows coming in from the edges. That's the X and the Y adjustment. There's also a lateral adjustment away and towards the eyepiece, and you do have to make sure you get that exactly right to get the brightest possible image. If you're a little too far away, the image starts to shrink. If you're too close, you start to see black coming around the edge. So it takes a little practice to get the alignment just right, but once you do, like I've got it there, lock it down, lock down the axis here, and then it's not going anywhere. You can adjust the eyepiece wherever you want for composing your image. And then, of course, lastly, once you've got that, you'll want to focus the telescope to get the best, sharpest image. So once that's done, let's say you're looking at, let's pretend I'm looking at Jupiter right now. Well, Jupiter's going to fill up a fairly small area in the middle of your smartphone camera window. A lot of smartphones have a problem exposing correctly for that because they see all of the black around the small planet in the middle, and they try to brighten up the exposure to expose for the black, and they ignore the planet, which totally overexposes. So the solutions to that, if you've got enough power already, just tap on the, depending on your smartphone, tap on the image of the planet, and the computer in the phone might be smart enough to expose for that and ignore the black around it and lower the exposure. If it's still not good enough and it's trying to overexpose, bump up the power a little bit. Put a different eyepiece in, so now the planet is going to be filling up more pixels on your screen, and now the computer is going to be able to see the planet better, and it should expose correctly for it. So you can zoom in, you can crop out, you can expose for whatever part of the image you want. Find the area that you like, compose it correctly, make sure you're focused, and then start snapping away. It's that easy. All right, well, there you have it. There's the ways to take an image through the telescope using your smartphone. Thank you very much. Clear skies.